Hello, welcome to the Magic the Gathering panel discussion here. My name is Rick. I'm going to be emceeing it over here, and we have some people on stage. I'm going to introduce to you CovertGoBlue.
Hello.
LadyLavinias. Jim Davis. Voxy. And Reid Duke. All right, we're gonna get right into the questions. Here. First question for you guys is gonna be, when did you start playing Magic the Gathering? You can each start from the beginning.
Yeah, I started playing Magic in 1994 at a scout camp. So it's been a really long time. Yeah, Revised was my first pack of cards.
What was the rare?
Well, it was a starter deck, so there were 3 rares. I know. Titania's Song. I found out what it did in about 1999 because I could not read that much. Tundra, which I thought was trash. Hated it. A land is rare. And the last one was oh gosh, it starts with a K. And I want to say Koma's Bell, but Koma's a serpent. It's the bell that turns everything into swamps.
Yep.
Okay.
Cormus Bell, I think, right?
Yeah, that's the one. And that was my big plan. All my swamps are going to kill you. And it wasn't that different from Titania's Song, right? But I still didn't understand Titania's Song.
All right, for me, I started playing in 2010, a little bit later than you, just a bit. And I opened up my first new Phyrexia pack was my first thing, and I had Karn Liberated as my very first rare, which I didn't know what was going on, but everyone in the store was very excited for me.
I started playing in, I think it was like 2001. It was the 7th edition starter kit. And it's a funny story, actually, where my friend basically forced me to play with it. He came over, brought the starter kit over, and was like, play this game with me. And I'm like, nah, sounds lame, as I'm listening to Korn and playing Diablo. And he forced me to play with him. And now, obviously, things have worked out pretty well. So thanks to Matt. Appreciate that, Matt. And I remember the first pack that I bought was at the comic store at the mall. And it was a 6th edition pack. I'm not sure why I chose that, because I was playing 7th edition. And it was a Wrath of God. So that was mine.
Nice. I think I might be the newest person here. I started in 2014, Concept Tarkir, which usually gets a pretty good reaction from people because apparently it's a very good set to have started with. And I don't remember anything from that time, but I remember I liked it enough to start doing it full time. So yeah, long time.
I started in 1995, which refreshing to be in a crowd where I'm not the oldest. But yeah, I was 5 years old playing with my big brother. 4th edition and Ice Age were the most recent sets. Ice Age is not really a beginner-friendly set, and just having to learn the rules with like the little rules insert that comes in the pack. You know, there's no instruction booklet, there's no judge to help you, there's no way to look up things, so it's kind of just who could argue their point better, you know, when the rules are ambiguous, and that was usually not me, but enough of the time that I survived to still be playing all these years later.
Wow, 5 years old. You hear that, guys? Pro Tour champions start at 5 years old. Even if you start young, you can get some wins out here. All right, so what got you into MTG content creation, and if it's related, who were some of your influences?
I started making content for Magic Duels. It's a game for the Xbox. Duels of the Planeswalkers, anybody? Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of content about Magic, but most Magic players didn't think Duels was a serious game, so they didn't make content for it because it wasn't real Magic. But I started making content for it to try to help out that community. And when Wizards got rid of Duels of the Planeswalkers, they brought in Magic Arena a few months later. So I started making Arena content, and Arena content's much closer to real Magic, so I was able to get new fans, and it became more of a career. But I was just doing it for fun because I really liked Magic Duels more than I should have.
Very nice.
I was working at a zoo at one point, and then Arena ended up coming out. I'd only been playing Paper Magic, but I wanted to start streaming. And then, even though I was very, very young into the streaming universe, Gabby Sparks and Amazonian raided me, and I had hundreds and hundreds of people suddenly in my stream. I full panicked, deer in a headlight situation, but ever since then, they gave me the real spark to continue creating content and building my community into what it is today.
I actually started writing articles for StarCityGames.com in like 2012 or something like that for like, $50 store credit an article. I did that for a while, somewhat reluctantly, honestly, too, which is pretty funny now because obviously I'm doing content full time. But started writing articles, and then in 2015, I had dabbled in streaming. I won the Star City Players Championship, which is a nice little windfall of money. That gave me a buffer to be like, all right, let me try 1 year, just try content full time, just kind of see what happens. And now I'm on stage at Too Many Games with these fine folks. So I'm very, very lucky.
I started it for fun when I was in school at the time. And all of a sudden, I just kept getting grades from this guy named CovertGoBlue. And it kind of really shot me up pretty far. Him and Muffin Pastry Pie were some of the first people to ever raid me while I was playing Magic. And again, it was just supposed to be a fun thing, but it kind of skyrocketed into my full-time career. So I also feel very lucky.
My story is pretty similar to Jim's. I got into it with written strategy content, and these days it's whatever form you like to engage with Magic, it's out there, you can do it. But back then, written articles was kind of all you had access to. So a couple of my role models from back then, Frank Karsten, Zvi Mauschwitz, and Mike Flores from the way old days. I remember we had like a physical copy of Mike Flores' book, which I'm sure is really hard to get these days. And I also remember printing out like a whole huge stack of papers that had all Zvi's articles, having to like stop and change the ink cartridge in the middle and then just keep going and staple it all together at the end. That was what you had to work with back then. But yeah, started with written content and branched out from there.
Cool. So now my question is, what is your favorite format to play? And if it's not the same, which do you prefer to stream?
So I make standard best of one content almost every day. Almost all of my videos are standard best of one. But my favorite format to play in paper is definitely Commander. And my favorite format to play in my spare time on Arena is Historic Brawl. So those kind of Commander identity-based formats are my go-to for fun. But yeah, the content that reaches the most people is standard. So that's, yeah.
It's fair. I'm very similar. Commander definitely is my #1 paper Magic that I like. I do love limited. I play drafts and sealed, but mostly if I'm playing Arena, I'm usually on Historic, doing the jankiest, weirdest things that don't work as I possibly can, and just ruining other people's days.
I just like a variety. I get asked this a lot, and like my answer is usually just like a variety. And if I had to play only one format all the time, it would get stale for me. But like standard, drafting, modern and paper's fun. I'm not as big of a Commander player as some folks on stage. I'll dabble occasionally, but I do enjoy Historic a lot. It's one of my favorite formats in Arena. But as long as I'm able to kind of change and I'll do a draft today, I'll do standard tomorrow, I'll do modern, whatever. That's what makes Magic great for me. So.
I am 99.9% limited. I stream limited. I prefer to play it. It's my preferred format. I will play Commander. I will do it for fun and also for different shows, but limited is my main format and my #1 Magic love of all formats.
Yeah, I'm passionate about limited as well. I love to play booster draft, cube draft when I can. Among constructed formats, I usually go for the older ones like Legacy is my favorite.
Awesome. Okay, so next question, and this is going to be related if you play on Arena. What is the highest rank you've gotten on your preferred format on Arena?
They don't call me the one in best of one because I got #2.
I know it's coming. How am I supposed to follow that up? I think highest I got was Mythic. I was really proud of myself. I did it one time and I was like, done, did it, accomplished.
I did the Mythic 1 run once before, where it's just like, you had to put in a lot of hours to do it. And I was like, all right, we're doing it on stream. It took me like, however long to do it at the start of a season. But usually I'm more focused on just playing, honestly. I don't really grind much on stream as far as like trying to rank up. It's more like playing fun decks and kind of like making Mythic by accident, which is kind of fun. But yeah, I did the one thing once, so.
I did the 9 thing once. I got to Mythic number 9 in Theros Beyond Death, and that was the highest I'd ever ranked. And it's like one of my most favorite sets because of that. Also Eldraine, because it's limited, not standard. Sorry for what Oko did.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I think I peaked at number 6 in Constructed back when there were big standard competitions on Arena to practice for. These days, you'll find me like gold on a good day, but
Awesome. Okay. What is your all-time favorite Magic the Gathering card?
Oh God.
You don't have a go-to answer?
I did. Yorion!
Orient.
There. Yorion the Sky Nomad. Awesome card. Amazing.
It's good go-to one. Mine is Mirari's Wake. I loved it when I first started out. I was like, doubling mana? That's so broken.
I think Factor Fiction. It's a really fun like sub game card where there's like, it's obviously a powerful card as far as drawing cards and so on and so forth, but like the little sub game it makes creates a lot of interesting things happening. It's really cool.
Easily champion of Lamholt. I feel like she flies under the radar a lot, and she's won me way too many games because of how good she is.
Liliana of the Veil, which, funny enough, the -6 ability is kind of like an extra mean version of Factor Fiction.
Nice. All right. So what is the current card that you're trying, like, is your pet card? What are you trying to make it work? Just currently. Is there any card that you're looking at, like, this card is really good and I'm going to make it the best card somehow?
I think the card is really good, and I think time will play out that it's really good, but I don't think we know every way to use it, and I just keep finding new ones. It's the One Ring. I have that card in everything. Every Commander deck, every Historic Brawl deck, every Alchemy deck. When I play that, like, I honestly keep on trying to find different ways. Tutor it out, cast it, replay it, use it every way that I can. I'm having so much fun with it. The Ring, absolutely the Ring.
Good choice. That's a tough question. There's one card that no matter what, I will keep jamming into decks, and that's Mirror March. I will make that card work. I will flip the coins and make it happen one day.
I feel like I should have a good answer for this, but I don't. I know, like, archetype-wise, there's always, like, the Boros equipment cards and then the Is It Prowess cards. I know, like, every set, I try and build that deck over and over again, it never works, especially the equipment decks. There's, like, here's some new equipment cards. Like, nah, it's just not going to work again either. So probably that, I guess.
Because I only play limited, I don't really have a pet card, but I do like to make weird things work in limited, like Triskaidekaphile. Like, once the set kind of goes on for a while, I try to get those weird alternate win cons. So things like that are usually what I gravitate towards.
My answer is Bloodbraid Elf in Modern and Legacy, which is it's tough being here saying that coming from some number of years ago. Bloodbraid Elf was banned in Modern because people thought it was too good, and these days it's maybe like the 15th best 4-mana card you could play, and can't really play any 4-mana cards in Modern and Legacy. But I'm out there. They're fighting the good fight.
All right, cool. So we're gonna get back to like content-related questions. Is when it comes to content creation, what do you think is like one of your favorite stories or something that happened to you that really like you? It's a great story that you can tell when you're like it has to do with other content creators, or just like maybe a video that you guys just really like went above and beyond for.
Sure. I'm kind of known now as being the weirdo with sunglasses and headband who yells a lot, and I don't know, I put on like kind of a character show, but like where that character actually comes from, when I was making my duels content and when I started making arena content, I was just very much trying to be a very normal, low-key person and not ever upset anybody to the best of my ability. And that just wasn't working. I was kind of treading water in the same area for a really long time. And it was Merchant. It was a Magic streamer content creator who was always very kind to me. And he invited me to be in an event called the Brawl Hall, which was a tournament playing Brawl, which had just been introduced to Arena. And so I've always loved playing Control. I love playing Control. And I know a lot of people hate Control. Who here hates Control? We got some Control hate. Yeah, you guys. I'm not sorry, and I never will be. But I acted like I was. You know, I was a very reluctant Control mage, like, oh, I know they're not enjoying this. But when I got invited to play the event, I was like, I'm going to play what I love. So I played a Teferi, Time Raveler, Brawl Commander deck. I didn't win the event. I got third. But the comments were 90%, what is wrong with that guy? And they were so happy when I lost. And I read those comments, and at first it really hurt me because they hated me. And that was really tough. And I sat with that for a week. And about a week later, I was like, you know what? They want to hate me. I'm not being half as bad as I could. This is me being nice. So Merchant, bless his heart, invited me to the next one. I played another blue-white control deck. And that's where I put on the sunglasses and I started emoting like your go right before I cast Nexus of Fate just for the BM as I smashed Amazonian into oblivion and I won that event. And they hated me even more, but they also watched a lot more. And I remembered and I took that lesson and I leaned into it for a character and it really changed my content. So thank you very much to Merchant for believing in me, even though the comments absolutely hated me. And don't try to be something everybody will like. Try to be something everyone will remember without going maybe too far.
That's a great response. Thank you for that.
Mine's different on the content creation side. So I'm going to go on the cosplay content creation side. And I've done plenty of cosplays, contests for Magic the Gathering before. And I guess the story that I think of every once in a while is there was a cosplay contest that we had, and there was probably a sub 10-year-old, and they'd worked countless hours to make their Magic the Gathering cosplay. I think it was a Jace. And a bunch of the lights were broken, a bunch of pieces essentially had broken down. And they were so upset and distraught. And then all of the Magic the Gathering cosplayers stopped what they were doing, and we all got together to rebuild this kid's cosplay and to calm them down, to give them compliments, get their spirit back up. And they ended up going out in the show, rocking it, winning the cosplay contest for their costume. And they came back to everyone literally in tears, and they were so happy and proud to be part of the community. And years later, they came back and came to me and a bunch of other people and said that we're one of the reasons that they kept going and making cosplay, because they were deciding to give up that day when they were so distraught, and we changed them around. And so getting them back into the community and getting them even more focused on Magic the Gathering just makes me feel really good every time I think about that story.
I would say TwitchCon 2019. I've been doing content full time for 1 or 2 years at that point, and it was going pretty well, but not extremely well yet. And just being at this really, really huge convention with a lot of people on stage right now, there's a huge Magic contingent there, and just in general, sort of validated Twitch as a real thing you can be doing and a real job. I did a 5-hour sort of workshop kind of thing. I got to meet a bunch of people. And just it really just sort of felt like, oh yeah, this is a really big deal. This is a thing that I actually can do and be successful at. And very, very inspiring to see everyone else also who's doing content in Magic space and otherwise kind of being this is cool. This is a thing you can do. People are doing it. It's just, it exists. And it's not like this, you think of the idea of playing games for a living, when you're a kid, oh, I'll play games for a living. I'm going to play baseball for a living, whatever, and the fact that's actually a reality is just really, really cool, and seeing it there really galvanized that.
Yeah, TwitchCon 2019 was a good memory for me too. I hadn't even been doing this for a year yet, and this was never like the plan either. I just kind of was doing this actually while I was looking for a full-time job, and it skyrocketed into what has happened to me now, what it is now. I actually got a very big raid after a Mythic Invitational from Wizards, and I kind of contribute that as like one of the bigger starts. Normally they kind of warn you when they're going to do that. They did for the first one. They did not warn me for the second raid. And so that one took me by a little bit of surprise. And I remember Martin Yuza sent me a photo. He goes, "Hey, you're on the big screen right now." And he just showed me a photo of the Mythic Invitational with everybody just watching me on like this big screen. And it scared the crap out of me. But it was very cool to see. And ever since then, things have just kind of like happened in a good way and like in a very exciting way. And it just kind of snowballed into like being up on a panel with all these like amazing people right now. So, yeah.
I was there, by the way, when
Were
your
you?
screen
Great.
your face came on the big screen
That
after
was
the tournament.
scary.
Something memorable for me was I was asked to write something called a level 1 column for Magic, which the assignment is basically like, okay, someone's just learned the rules of Magic, but they want to go a little deeper and hone their craft. And, like, what are the things that they need to know? And this was cool for me because a lot of content creation is like, okay, like what's the big news story? What's the hot deck of the week? But, you know, people aren't really going to go look back at that. But this is something that I was able to kind of just pour out like everything that I've learned after so many years with the game. And it was designed to stand the test of time. And this is something that it's still linked to as one of the resources in on MTG Arena. And I still get people, you know, even new players today come to me and say like, "Oh, I found that really helpful. Help me get you know, a little deeper into Magic and stick with it." That's, you know, the best thing somebody like me can hear.
Awesome. So I have a question now. If you guys, you know, if there are people out here who want to get into Magic the Gathering content creation or anything like that, you guys might have a lot of the same answers. If you can't think of anything, that's fine. What are some like tips or advice or just like experiences you had that you don't want other people to go through when it comes to content creation? And maybe, you know, people can learn so they can get into it.
Magic has a lot of lanes and a lot of different ways to play it. Like there's not a ton of games where you can say like, what is your favorite format and get as many different unique answers as Magic. And all of them have an audience. So like I found Magic Duels as an audience that was just underserved in a certain kind of like, nobody was really giving them advice to improve their decks within the functionality of Magic Duels and things like that. And I served that audience, and that was my base. And even when things were difficult, I always had my base as I figured out who and what I could be as a content creator. So find a niche that's like really true to yourself in whatever game or whatever hobby that you love, and then find that audience and serve them. Like try to give them the best advice that you can, what you've learned through your years, and create that base in a smaller place. And opportunities, hopefully and probably, will come along as the landscape of gaming change, where you can use those talents on something that grows bigger.
Yeah, great advice. Mine is more for just general streaming, as consistency is literally number one, is having a consistent schedule, knowing that you're going to have things come out at the exact same time. If it's YouTube, it could be streaming, but just making sure that people know that you're going to be where they expect you to be every single week. And that's the best way to grow something, is just to have, and then show also the passion along with following the niche that you want. Just have something that you genuinely love, that, and when you make content, it'll bleed right through. People will be able to tell how much you actually love what you're doing.
I think breaking into content is very, very difficult. It's the kind of thing where you can't really plan to be a full-time content creator, you know, and it's very similar in a lot of ways to like music or art, you know, where when you start a band, you don't like, okay, I'm gonna start a band and we're gonna open for the Foo Fighters at Madison Square Garden. Like, you don't get to like choose that, you know? And I think that when you're starting out, you need to kind of like look at it like a hobby, like you were saying, you know, and kind of just get into it, you know, love it, doing it. And I think the most important thing is, if you do want to take that step, is sort of figure out the reason of like, why should people watch you? You know, there are tons of great content creators out there. You know, there's tons of things that people are already like kind of trained to watch. I watch every day. I watch the best of one, video, or I watch this or that. How are you going to make people want to not watch that and watch you? And you need to be able to ask yourself, okay, why would someone want to watch me? I need to have a really good answer for that question, because if you don't, they don't really have a good reason to watch you. You know, just showing up isn't enough. So I think that like, if you want to take it seriously, having a good answer to that question is job number one. And then once you have that answer, then you can kind of plan out and go from there.
Yeah, kind of a mixture of what everybody else said. And like from my personal opinion, when I watch people, like you have to love it. Like people can tell when you don't love what you're doing and like you're not having a good time. So like you have to genuinely enjoy. I always said like, if like, you get all the money in the world, what would you do with your free time? Like, this is what I would do. Like it's just, you have to genuinely love it. Otherwise it's just going to eat you alive if it's something that you're wanting it for like going in for like different reasons. Like, oh, I want to open for the Foo Fighters, but you have to be like, no, I love doing this and I love sharing this game with people. I love being around the people that love what I love. So, and that can be shown through in all forms of content.
Yeah, just add, don't try to fake it. Go with what you love and what you're passionate about. And if it becomes all, stats and numbers and stress for you, then that's going to show through and your audience won't like it. Or worse, like you'll just quit and you'll never get to, really realize what could have been.
All right, thank you so much for that, guys. All right, so another question about like cards specifically, and if you're specifically for Commander players, if you're not a big Commander player, you don't have to give an answer for this, but what is your favorite Commander or Commanders?
Oh man, favorite Commander.
You're in the tough questions now.
I've only played Commander. I guess it's almost 2 years now. And I try to play a different one every week, so it's actually like they come and go really fast. I think Elminster is a commander, a blue and white planeswalker commander from the D&D expansion that just is a lot of what I'm looking for in a commander. So a lot of card draw, a very control-y approach to the game. Just what I really enjoy. So I'll go with Elminster. And he makes fairy dragons, and that's cute.
This is a tough one. I'm going to have to go with the very first commander I ever made, which was a Kalia of the Vast deck. It does everything. I don't get to play it often. I get hated off the board before I even start. But having the potential to do dragons, demons, and angels is just... dropping huge things just is the most fun that I have in Magic in general. Just cheating things into the board is fun.
I definitely wouldn't call myself a commander player. I have one commander deck. It is Muxus, Goblin Grandee. Probably only have like 25 games of Commander lifetime, honestly. I'll play on shows occasionally on stream. At cons like this, I'll play a few games, and I really, really like the deck because it's a very explosive deck. Muxus puts a bunch of goblins in play, and it's very much, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to win, or I'm going to die. And I think it kind of fits my desires for the format, because I don't really like the 2.5 hour, 3 hour long, let's have 1,000 tokens in play, yada, yada, yada games. I want to just make stuff happen. So it does do that. So I think even though I'm not the hugest Commander fan, it kind of fills the niche that I would like to do in the format, and it's just fun. It's good stuff.
I only have a few Commander decks, but my favorite is Prosh. It was my first ever Commander. It's very strong. I don't have Food Chain, so it's fair, in my opinion. I have also a Charix deck that has unfortunately become part of my brand with the crabs, but those both hold a special place in my heart.
Anything that lets me play with the green and black cards is good. I like Corvold, Fey Cursed King.
Awesome. All right, so Lord of the Rings set just came out. Is there any cards or any like archetypes within the set that you're most like? I already know you want the One Ring, but is there anything else you guys looking forward to from the set you want to play with, either in formats or whatever, however you're playing with them?
Yeah, I've got a deck built around Lord of the Nazgul to make the 9 wraiths that all become 9/9s, and it has actually become a bit of an adventure to get 9 of the frickin' the wraiths, because I guess those are all like $10 rare uncommons now. So yeah, I'm working on getting all of my ring wraiths, but I'm excited to play that deck.
honestly, I'm really excited for the limited scene for it. I want to play more and more drafts. I keep opening, I want to open more and more boosters. I don't have anything that I want to do, but I just want to have a good time and just general drafts.
I really like the card Merry, Esquire of Rohan. It's like a Boros 2-drop. Whenever it attacks to their legend, you draw a card. Just like, it speaks to, kind of like, I want to have a deck that cares about something, make a lot of legends or whatever. It jives with other legends in Magic that aren't from Lord of the Rings, but also the Lord of the Rings cards too. Just a powerful card. It's pretty sweet.
I want to draft more of the set. Red, Black, and Mass seems very strong, and also that Horn of Gondor is one of the most terrifying cards I've ever played against, so I would like to be the one to have it in my deck this time and not play against it, so I'm hoping for that.
I like the Delighted Halfling. This is a mana dork that makes your legendary spells uncounterable. So there's lots of cool stuff that you can do with that. Turn 2 Liliana or Grist or Teferi or something like that. But, as the card pool of Magic grows, like there's just more and more awesome legendary stuff. So I think a card like this has both potential and, staying power. So you just can constantly look for new ways to pair this with cool stuff.
Awesome. Okay, so and also speaking of that, they are doing Lord of the Rings drafts right over here, guys. It's their pods that they're picking up. Maybe the players on stage might get in some of those if you want to play with them.
Definitely.
So yeah, there you go. And next question is, all right. So I am a Scryer's Guild member of the group for their doing activities and stuff with people who are upcoming for Magic. And I want to know, what would you guys like to see change in the Magic the Gathering scene, whether it's through arena, organized competitive play, or product releases, anything that you think could just be tweaked or changed. And I'm going to take this personally. I'm going to write it into my activities and whatnot.
So within everything to do with Magic, what would we like to see changed? One thing. I would love if there was a Grand Prix circuit with coverage every weekend like there used to be. And, I know some of you guys down there played in it. That was my connection to the game for 10 years that I didn't own paper cards. I've sold out of Magic 3 times at various points in my life for various reasons. 3 times. But through those points in my life where I was pursuing other things, when I wasn't a content creator, when Magic was just this thing I did in my past that I felt great about, that I loved, that was cool, I stayed connected to the game for a decade every weekend watching SCG and GP coverage. And I miss it. I would like it back.
It's a tough question. I think whenever a new set drops, we have the premiere drafts. I would love to get quick drafts when it first drops, I guess. That would be the one.
I think one of the biggest issues right now in Magic is a lack of unity. There's 3 different platforms. There's Paper, Magic Online, and Arena. There's 100,000 formats. There are Commander players, there are drafters, there are Arena players, there are Magic Online players, there are Paper players, there are casual players, there are modern players. Just so many different things. And while I think it's really, really awesome, the game is so open to so many different people for so many different things, there's a lack of unity, I think, at times where we feel like we're playing completely different games. So I'm a Magic Online player and you're an Arena drafter. It feels like we're not even playing the same game, And then I think that shows up where you feel disconnected from your fellow Magic player. When the RCQs came back for the qualifiers and stuff, they were all different formats. Everyone's just kind of doing their thing. And back in the day, it used to be there was one Pro Tour qualifying season and it was Modern. And the whole of Magic that was interested in 60-card gameplay was focusing on Modern for that 4 months. Every article was Modern, every video was Modern, everyone was talking about Modern, and it felt like you were part of this community that was all doing this one thing together. Now Commander's sort of like that. Commander's obviously one of the biggest things in Magic right now, but I feel like overall it just feels very, very scattered. And I don't really have a good answer as to what could make it feel more unified, but that would be my want.
That's true, because my answer is primarily about Magic Arena because that's all I play, so I don't know anything about it. So mine would just be a better arena economy. I would like to be able to, as somebody who only drafts and doesn't play standard, I would like to be able to turn all my wild cards into gems to do more drafts. And then all the people who play standard on Arena, they don't draft and they need wild cards. So it's a little, there's some bridge like dusting or some sort of way to make it a little bit easier where we can like somehow maybe unify Arena in that case, I guess. I don't know.
Do you have a
better
guess?
Arena economy.
Do you have a guess for how many wild cards, like mythics, are trapped in your collection?
I honestly think I may be one of the top 10, like I'd say maybe top 20 have the most wild cards like on Arena. Like I have a lot, like over 2,000 rares. Like that's, and if you play Arena, you know that's a lot of
People
rare
are
wild
fluffing.
cards,
Yeah, they're
which
like-
is, I know, everybody's
my
like,
God, that's
please,
so
Whole
many.
set.
please share with me, please. And I would love to just exchange that for like gems, just to like do more, because I don't use them unless I play in some sort of online term like Twitch Rivals or something like that. But I don't use those things, but like standard players or historic ball players would like love to use that. So I wish there was a way somehow to fix that. I know other card games have dusting, which is like you can kind of turn that into like dust for more gems. I think that would be great. I would like it personally.
Yeah, so many of my best memories in Magic come from that old Grand Prix circuit. Yeah, I just always would love more opportunities for people to play and meet up and, you know, be part of big, cool, exciting events. But along the same lines, it's really nice to see independent tournament organizers and conventions like this one picking up the slack and just, yeah, giving people those chances to engage.
Okay, awesome. Next question, and this is gonna be my last one before I bring it to the audience. I know this is a Magic the Gathering panel, but what other TCGs, collectible card games, have you found that fit your fancy, whether they're digital or physical?
Sorry.
Well,
I know.
Okay.
I mean, should we tell them that we're professional Shadowverse players, Kat?
We could do that. Yeah.
We met because we were both put in this tournament for a digital card game called Shadowverse that we met in the finals of a tournament of, and it was.
Which he took me down second. I got second place. He is.
We don't have to
king of
focus
best
on
of
that.
one. Yeah.
But it was funny because at the time I had played Shadowverse like for 2 or 3 months, and I won more money playing Shadowverse than I ever had in like 20 years playing Magic. That doesn't speak very well for my Magic Pro Tour days, but just being honest. So yeah, Shadowverse though was a sweet game, and
Yeah,
I
it was
enjoyed
very interesting
I
one.
enjoyed it.
We didn't know what was going on, but we were paired against a professional who taught us how to play a little bit, and then we had to go after each other, and it was a lot of time, fun. So that would be the one.
As far as card games go, I'm a huge fan of Marvel Snap. I think Marvel Snap is like the epitome of a perfect mobile card game experience. Like, I think Magic actually did a really, really good job with their mobile versions of Arena. I think it plays really, really well. But as far as like a mobile game I can play when I'm going to go walk the dog or I'm waiting in line for something or whatever, Marvel Snap's just like, it's so clean, it's so easy, so snappy. And it's great. And as far as other games, I'm a huge StarCraft 2 fan also. I watch a lot of StarCraft.
So I recently discovered Hearthstone. I had never played before in my life. I uploaded to YouTube like good Magic games that I have on stream or something. And the second I switched to Hearthstone, my YouTube has absolutely blown up because of it. So it's a really fun game. I feel like I'm the only, every person I've talked to is like, yeah, I played that like 7 years ago. I feel like I'm the only person who had never played Hearthstone up until recently. So that has been my my newest fascination over like the last 2 weeks. It's gone from like nothing to like one of my bigger games that I play and stream now. So it's a lot of fun. I like Hearthstone.
Yeah, this is not a collectible card game in the sense of like MTG, but I'm a big fan of Dominion, which is like a deck building game. I wouldn't be surprised if they had it out on the floor in like the tryouts and board games area. But this is, yeah, deck building card game, and there's like 1 million expansions, and so you can kind of customize and play like a different set of cards every single time you play. But it's just really good fun and especially easy to pick up coming from a Magic background.
Yeah, deck building games are great. They have high variance, and especially with expansions, you can just keep them going. All right, so anybody out here, you guys can raise your hand. I'll come over, bring over the mic, and you can ask a question to anybody on the stage. All right.
I've got a quick question. Does anybody use Spell Table to use Paper Magic online? And also, the quick follow-up, does anybody think any mechanics are broken, or has anybody noticed them become broken since they've started playing Magic?
You hear that?
I mean, I play Spell Table, I play Commander, I use it to, I have friends. The thing about Magic is that it's all over the world. People play it all in all areas of the United States, and I want to still be able to play games with them. So Spell Table is a great way for me to still play Commander, even though I have friends in 4 different sections and different time zones. So I love Spell Table.
I've only used it like once or twice, but I was very impressed with it. Like the card mechanization and like the way to look things up. It was cool.
Yeah, I've used it for content a few times. Like I've guested on some streams that use Spell Table and recorded some gameplay that use Spell Table. I think it's good. I don't have any complaints about it. I haven't found things particularly broken with it. I did make the mistake of bringing a deck. It was Xander, Lord Xander, Kingpin on a Spell Table. And then, like, it didn't even occur to me that, like, taking all the cards from your opponents might not be necessarily a very easy thing to do over the internet. So that was a little cringy, but it was content. It was okay. I've learned some.
Have you ever tried to take over someone else's turn over Spell Table?
Challenge accepted. That sounds like fun.
I think I have a different opinion on Spell Table. I really tried. I tried to like it. I really gave it a good college try. There was Channel Fireball was doing some of like the pre-release events for a while over Spell Table. I just missed the person in front of me. It just felt so, I don't know. I like having my opponent in front of me and like being able to play them. And it has its amazing uses, right? Like playing with people all over the world, different time zones and everything. I could just never fully get into it. It just felt, I don't know. I also have I can't see, people have different setups, and my setup was being held up by painter's tape, and that's probably my fault. But I mean, it was just, it was a little clunky for me. So it's not my preferred way to play, but I gave it a shot.
All right. Anybody else have a question? Raise your hand. All right. Coming over.
What was your favorite Magic memory of all the times you've been playing?
Whoa. Favorite Magic memory. Oh God. Okay. Let's see. I was 14 years old, and there was a store in a little town called Petoskey, Michigan. It was the only one that held tournaments for like hundreds of miles in every direction. And it became my goal, my dream, to be the champion of this place. I wanted to win one of these tournaments things so bad. I don't know what it is. I was wired to just want to win from the moment there was something to win. And my playtest partner on this journey was my 12-year-old little sister. And she and I trained for this together. And the very first tournament that we played at the store, I was able to win, which, yay, that was cool. I thought that would be like my big happy memory. But I couldn't go to the second one. Because I had a basketball camp I had to go to. So I trained my sister for like the whole week. I'm like, you have to represent. You have to represent the team, right? And, she was my little sister. I love her to death. Her name's Kim. She is now a physical therapy doctor. She's doing very fancy things. She has 2 kids. Very happy life. But at the time, she was 12 years old, going through kind of an awkward phase where she had a very tomboy cut. She was the only girl that went to these events. And I would hear it all the time. They would just be like, oh my, like, is that a girl? Is she a girl? And then they would be like, oh my God, dude, you lost to a girl. Like these are teenage kids. And like back then, she's the only one in the room. And it made me so angry as a big brother. I'm a very protective big brother. So I wasn't going to be there for her. And I'm like, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do well at this. And so I was like, I came back from my basketball camp, and like back then you had to use a rotary phone. So I like dial on the camp phone in the middle of nowhere, and I call her, and she was in the finals at the time. She was in the finals against like the best kid in the area. And she didn't win, but it was really close. And I just remember I was so proud of her that she got all the way to the finals without me and did like so well. And I've always been really proud of her. She's like my best friend in the world. So honestly, my best Magic memory was just how happy I felt that she did really well that day. It's weird, but that's it.
The best Magic memory I have, it's not necessarily to do with Magic the Gathering cards or even the game, but with the people. And growing up, being a woman in video games is a little bit of a lonely life. There's not as many when I was growing up, and I had some difficulties. But last year, I went to DreamHack Dallas, and there is thankfully more and more, a lot of women in the Magic the Gathering space. And I was at an event with a bunch of other cosplayers and just in general people, and I always felt awkward getting into like rooms with people. I've never felt more accepted and loved besides the Magic the Gathering community. I remember being in a room and not wanting to sit at a table, and instead, without hesitation, all of them asked me to come over and sit and play a game of Commander together. And it was at that moment that I realized that I was like, I just fit, I belonged, and I didn't have to try to hide the hobbies and the things that I love to do. I didn't have to like try to pretend to be someone who I'm not. And I had people that enjoyed the same hobbies I did and could connect with me on a personal level. And that to me was my favorite Magic the Gathering memory, is just being around the people and feeling accepted and loved.
I'll say the Star City Games Players Championship in 2015. I was super entrenched in their tournament series. I traveled almost every weekend, and my wife, now Nicole, at the time we were dating, and she was holding the fort at home a lot when I was traveling, and it was a whole year. And it was like the big end of the year event, kind of like the year-end tournament, 16 players, a lot of money on the line, and I won the event, which is obviously cool, but Nicole drove down on like Saturday because I was doing well to see me play. Drove 7 hours from New York to Roanoke, Virginia, and I just remember playing like the top 4 rounds and the final rounds, and it was all in the Star City store where it was just like a camera set up with curtains and stuff, and everyone's just outside watching on a screen and just kind of playing. And when I was, at the point where I knew I was going to win, knowing that she was outside watching and everyone else was outside watching, and then the party afterwards at like Brad's house or something, and it was just a very surreal whirlwind, because when you're playing a serious Magic for a really long time, your brain starts to just like melt. And I remember being at the party, and I remember Brad, who won the previous year, gave a speech kind of just saying like congrats to me or whatever, and like you're the person who wanted it the most. I'd worked so hard for it the whole year. And I remember the sort of just like when I actually won, there was no like, I didn't like celebrate or anything. It was just like this has been an entire year of all this, and obviously it was very important to my content creation career as far as like getting me set up for that. But just the feeling of Nicole coming to hug me after I won, and then the party afterwards, everyone being around, and it was just very, very special.
My favorite Magic memory is kind of a self-victory win story. So it was the Shadows over Innistrad pre-release. I've only been playing for, I think, like a little over a year, maybe 2 at that point, and I was 3-0. And I found my last opponent, and he asked me if he wanted to split because he wanted to leave. And I was like, I would like to play this out if you don't mind. This is the best I've ever done in a pre-release. And he just looks me up and down. He goes, I'll go 4-0 to my face. And I was so like shocked that he did that. And beating him was one of like the best victories I'd ever felt. I had 2 Westvale Abbeys. I had Devil's Plate. He had no shot. There's no shot. But when I tell you, that was like one of the best feelings that has ever happened to me. He was so sure of himself. It was just so unnecessarily rude, and I was so like new to Magic. So yeah, that's my favorite memory.
Yeah, I've always found the best moments are they're less often the ones that come all of a sudden, and more the ones that you work for and look ahead to for so long. For me, one that comes to mind is the first time I broke through to a Pro Tour top 8. I mentioned earlier I've loved Magic ever since I was 5 years old, and this was like kind of a lifelong goal for me. 14 tries on the Pro Tour before I had a breakthrough. And when I finally, won the key match, it was like, wow, this finally happened. And I was surrounded by friends who all knew how much it meant to me and how long and how hard I'd worked for it. Yeah, I think it's just invested with like a little bit of extra weight when it's so long in the making.
All right, we got time for a couple more questions. Got a hand right here. I'm going to come to you next.
Hey, so Magic is extending Standard by another year. I was wondering from like a content creation perspective, are you excited that you still get to make decks with like the old cards that were going to rotate out? Or do you kind of wish like they would just leave?
I hate it. I hate it so much. The reason I love and I've always loved Standard is the change. The rotation to me is the best thing about it. The fact that there just isn't one this year kind of like tore my heart out, and I'm still kind of like like it has me looking at other formats in a way I haven't for 5 years, and I know who it's for. I know why they're doing it. I understand, and I don't. I hope it works. I honestly hope it makes Standard more popular in paper Magic, and I hope that more people play Standard. In the long run, that is sincerely my wish. But for me personally, no, I hate it. I really don't like it. And I don't know. It's going to be it'll probably be an evolution of the content, because it was considered kind of madness as it was that I played Standard every day, because everybody knows Standard gets pretty old, and this Standard is going to get really, really old. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, are we all going down the line?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to this. I'm just focused on drafts.
I think it's the kind of change where, for us, people who play Magic literally all the time, it does suck a little bit, but we're still playing Magic. It's the kind of change designed for people who maybe have lapsed, don't play anymore, haven't been playing Standard, to get folks more into Standard. Standard used to be it. When I first started playing Magic, I went to the local store, I did a draft or two, and then I had some cards, and my friends were like, build a Standard deck. I'm like, okay, cool. That was FNM every week. And that was just the thing you did for 15 years or however long it was. FNM every week, build a Standard deck, come play, and you borrow cards with your friends, yada, yada, yada. And like, that was it. That was the format. And that was the on-ramp, because like your draft cards were relevant in Standard. It wasn't that hard to go from drafting a few times to building one Standard deck. And that was the on-ramp, and now I think in the current day and era, Commander's very popular, Modern's fairly popular. These are not good on-ramp formats, having to buy 4 Ragavan's or buy a 100-card Commander deck. These are expensive things to do, and they're complicated. They're complicated formats, and they're not easy to get into initially. I think having Standard be that baseline format is very, very important. And even if it's not necessarily as good for the players who play all the time, I think if it works, I hope it does, I don't know if it will or not, then I think it's beneficial overall to have Standard kind of come back and be that on-ramp once again.
Yeah, but both these guys are right. As a high volume player, it's like kind of more fun when there's more frequent change. But the most important thing to me is that the audience is happy. There's not that much point making Standard content if people aren't out there playing Standard, and you want to get to the point where you can bring your Standard deck to the comic book store and find somebody else there who will play with you. And I don't know that we've had that for the last couple of years, but hopefully we will.
All right, so we got time for one more question. I'm going to make a quick announcement. On the opposite stage tomorrow at 1:30, we will have another panel. It'll be the Pro Tour panel. Jim and Reid will both be there. If you guys want to see that one tomorrow, it's 1:30 at the Gato stage. All right, and you had one question?
Your most hated Magic card that you just can't stand going against.
All of blue.
What?
Continue.
What? Can you repeat the question? Was it most hated Magic color or card? Card?
It's card.
Card?
Yeah.
Oh God, so many, so many over the years to choose from. I'm gonna give it to Embercleave. I hate that card. That card's terrible. Of all the things I know, Embercleave.
I'm still thinking you go.
Yorian.
Ah, you
No,
monster!
I'm kidding.
I could have said a goblin.
I knew you were going first and couldn't, so. But no, my actual is probably Plague Engineer. Just like this really efficient hate card for tribal decks. And I feel like Modern is so hostile to tribal decks anyway these days, you know, that like, why would you hate on tribal decks? So there's plenty of Wrath of Gods and things too. It's so unnecessarily powerful against tribal decks. So Plague Engineer is my answer.
Yargle, for personal reasons.
Yeah, no, I'm with Jim, and I'm not kidding. I think the 10 companions are probably number 1 through 10 of my least favorite cards. The last question was all about like, standard rotates fast, so you can get more play experiences. But with companions, it's like, all right, I've seen this episode before. Like, I've had this happen to me enough times that I'm looking for a change.
Do you have a top hated companion of all of them?
I mean, it's just the ones that are so good and are played so frequently that that you lose to all the time over and over again, and makes you not want to branch out in your deck building, because it's like, well, I gotta make my case for this really strong companion.
It's funny though, 'cause I feel like Gigantha is not one of the most powerful ones, but for me, it's the one that's just like, all right. I mean, I guess Gigantha works for this deck. I'll be on stream building a deck, and someone will be like, hey, you can play Gigantha in this deck. And it's like, all right, I guess I'll cut a sideboard card.
I guess I'll cut, these couple of cards that I was really looking forward to playing with, because I want to get the Gigantha restriction.
Right.
All right, I figured it out. It's an overloaded Cyclonic Rift. It's everyone's. It's the main choice for everyone.
Nice. All right, so we're gonna wrap up. You guys, if you want to just say your channels, if they're different from what your tag is, and your social medias as well.
Yeah, you can find me CovertGoBlue on YouTube. If you search for that, you'll find daily MTG Arena, usually standard videos, and CovertGoCrew is where I have my Commander show called The Worst Possible Commander Show, if you enjoy Commander gameplay.
LadyLavinias on Instagram or Twitter. I'm also going to be the cosplay contest host tomorrow for the TooManyGames cosplay contest.
I am Jim Davis, MTG, on all platforms that I'm on, YouTube and Twitch. Branched out to Instagram and TikTok recently. It's kind of fun. And Twitter. I also have a YouTube channel called Bronze to Mythic, where I draft my account from Bronze to Mythic every set.
You can find me on Twitch at Voxy, and YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Voxy, Twitch.
Yeah, I'm Reader Rabbit on Twitch, but even more frequently than that, you can find all my written and video stuff on the Channel Fireball website.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, and that's it. You guys a round of applause.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.